Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Leverage Your Podcast show. And today we're going to reach a topic that I haven't actually delved into before, but I feel like we're shifting in the industry and really tapping into who we are, the energy that we have. And so I have with me another Canadian as well, Jennifer Lyall, who is an intuitive business mentor and chief energy optimizer. And she's going to share how to create high energy interviews to attract more clients. So, welcome to the show, Jennifer.
Yay! So great to be here with you.
I know. And I think this is such a cool conversation because everyone always talks about like the mechanics and like one sheets and like what you should say. But like your energy impacts everything.
Yes.
And so I really want to dive into that. So, what do you mean? Let's kind of go to the basics. What do you mean by a high energy interview? What does that mean to you?
To me, it's an interview that draws the listener in, where your voice, your presence, your message is so captivating that it captures the heart and soul, really connects in with the heart and soul of whoever's listening. So it's about you showing up as the best version of you in order to have your message be carried out over the Wi-Fi waves, I guess these days, and connect in.
I love that. And so here's a question for you, because I feel like people are like some people are just magnetic, right? They walk into a room and everyone wants to be with them, be around them. So is having that kind of energy, is that nature or nurture? Like can you learn that or people they are it or they're not?
It is definitely a nurture thing because those high energy people, they might be able to turn it on, but I guarantee you that they have their moments too. There's nobody who can keep that turned on 100% all the time. It's impossible. I even remember having a conversation with a happiness researcher, and she talked about how it's impossible to be happy all the time. It's like having only sunshine or only rain. Well, rain's the opposite, but
Yeah.
only breathing in and not breathing out. You need, there's going to be both. So it's definitely something that you can cultivate, and it's essential for you to also learn how to cultivate this, not only for your podcast interviews, but just for leading your business. It's imperative.
That's interesting that you say that because I have seen people where they're like super happy all the time and I feel like is that real?
Well, you
You
know
know?
what? You might be catching them at the moments where it
Yeah.
is, where they are feeling like that. Or they have cultivated their inner strength, their energy to show up like that. But they are still going to have moments like maybe by the end of the day they're drained because they are putting up such a facade, perhaps.
Yeah.
Or perhaps, there's just you get sick, you get injured, things come up in life. Even Dr. Joe Dispenza, who's somebody who is a neuroscience researcher and top energy spiritual leader, thought leader, he has his moments because there can be so many demands coming at us as a leader. He's managing multiple businesses and he needs to take the pause because he sees himself going sideways, getting caught up in whatever drama there is that's landed on his lap. And he's going to be like, okay, I need to take some time because he feels it and recognizes it. The tricky part is what is your default way of being? Where do you reach for? Well, typically our default is in a lower vibe and a lower level of energy because our subconscious mind operates where like 85% of what we do by the time we're 35 is on autopilot. So you have to consciously cultivate a different way of being. So depending on your upbringing and your career, you will have established like this happiness set point of how happy you allow yourself to be. And if you've ever noticed that you come to a moment where you have this like great success moment and you're like, yes, oh my gosh, I want more of this. This is my new normal.
Yeah.
And then things go back to the way they were. It's because you hit this level of that's as high as you allow, as happy or as high in energy as you allow yourself to be, because that's as comfortable. And you have to cultivate raising that up, just like how an Olympic athlete has to build up their stamina, their skill. We as leaders also need to build up our skill, our stamina in leading business and walking through life.
Yeah, that's a great point. And and I like how you kind of explain like what is your default? What are you normally at? And I like self-awareness obviously is key. But sometimes people think high energy is like you have to be something that you're not. Like you have to be raw cheerleader, you have to be loud and proud. Um, what is your definition then of like that high energy?
That's a great question because you're right. Everybody has a different way of expressing it. Some people can just have this quiet, peaceful, loving presence. I remember once being at an event and this person was on a meditation journey, and he has had a project called the Stillness Project, and he was able to reverse his age through the meditation, and he just emanated love, and he drew people in through his kindness. Not that he was really outspoken or anything
Yeah.
like that, but you could feel the energy of his presence. You wanted to be in his presence. And then I just remember what I'm seeing in my mind's eye is the moment of he was engaged with other people, and I wanted to share with him how his presentation impacted me. And he's like, come, and like welcoming me into that circle. Whereas some people can be just so focused on, "Oh, I've got to do my thing." But he wasn't like that. So you get to be you. And that's really fundamentally what this is about, is you being you, but allowing yourself to be the fullness of who you are. And if you go back to with the subconscious mind predominantly being programmed in that first 7 years, that's where things just sink in and you accept everything as true. Well, if you were too much as a little child, or too sensitive, or too whatever, and your parents couldn't handle you, then there's a lot of mold breaking as you grow up to make sure that you're not still feeling the limitations in how you express yourself, which could also come forth in the way you interview on a podcast, or how you lead, or how you might just keep things a little more neutral, more simple, because you don't want to offend anybody, because you have this reaction of, well, I don't want to piss off mom or dad or
Yeah.
whatever authority figure there was, because you were too much in whatever way that was. So it is about allowing you to be all of you. And that is the part that is the most magnetic and the highest energy for you as an individual.
That's a great way of phrasing it because when you think high energy, you automatically think you have a stereotype in your head, right? So your energy that you emit that shows up, how does that impact the podcast interview and how does that impact your ability to attract clients?
Well, if you can think about how you would be, let's use the analogy of having to drive into an office or a location, and you're driving somewhere, traffic's crappy, you get cut off, you arrive at your destination, and then people says, "Hey, how you doing?" And you're like, "Good, but man, the traffic that was on the way here, oh my God, and this bozo that cut me off, he had the nerve to give me the finger." And like going on, like if that's the energy that you're bringing to an interaction, that's going to influence the direction of the conversation. So it's about mastering, optimizing your own personal energy so that you are in the same energetic state of the message that you have to share and you want to convey through the conversation. If you're pissed off, if you're tired, if you're frustrated, it's very different energy than being passionate about a cause and just like in your truth of like, I'm a stand for this. So the energy of how you're feeling before you begin your conversation, it's going to impact how the conversation flows. Because if I'm bringing that pissed offness to it, then that's going to impact how the host is going to react to me, and whether or not they're going to want to continue the conversation, or they're going to be like, gosh, I do not like the direction, let's just wrap things up, right? And so that's going to impact then also the listener, because they're going to sense the tension.
Feel the
They-
vibe.
right, they pick up on it, even though I believe everybody's intuitive and everyone has a different level of awareness. And I'm so delighted that you used that word specifically, awareness, because this idea of understanding your energy and how you're showing up in any moment is what psychologists call active awareness. And so when you have this active awareness, you know who you're being, and you're able to also sense what's going on around you in a heightened state. It's very different than just kind of being like, "Oh, da, da, da," and just spewing your energy on other
Yeah,
people. And people pick it up. We are just designed to sense
I
that ever
know.
since we were a child.
Yeah, that's a great point. Because I'm the same way. I very much pick up on other people's energy and it impacts me. Last night I went out and I was so stressed before I went out. I was meeting a friend for dinner and I was like, "Oh my gosh, my energy is going to be horrible and I'm starting off our like fun night just blah," you know? And thankfully I know her so well that I could just kind of like, vomit all the stress and like recoup, but I was just very aware, like, I don't want to walk into this with this horrible, stress mode. And just being aware of how your energy is impacting others, just like theirs can impact you, is just having that awareness is massive.
It's interesting that you talked about this social engagement last night. What the image that I see in my mind's eye is when I was very unaware and I was in my early 20s and I was dating this guy, and we were in line to go to this dinner thing. I can't remember what it was, but it was these feast, some sort of dinner theater sort of thing. And I don't remember why, but I was so pissed off in line. And I don't remember why. And then I saw my boyfriend, we were there with another couple, and I didn't really like his friends. And then he was talking to this other girl in line and kind of flirty-ish. And so I made me even more mad. And I just was so mad the whole night. And so of course nobody had, well, they had their fun, but they were like, I'm not going to bother engaging with you
Totally.
because yeah, but that was totally on me. And I was like that for so long. And really, I was creating my own suffering in that moment too. And the same thing happens as entrepreneurs, where there's a lot going on in the world.
Mm.
And we have a choice. We chose to create our business and to be leaders for a reason. And if we stay stuck in the pattern of, oh my gosh, I don't know how this is going to work out. Oh my gosh, that's totally different than last year. How do I navigate through? If you're in the worry rather than, okay, isn't that interesting how that's unfolding this year? What can I learn? How can I pivot? This passion, this vision that's inside of me, I know I'm doing this. So let's see what the other opportunities could be, because if that path isn't going, we've got to go this way. And that takes a lot to pull yourself out of that way of thinking. So there's this inner resilience
Right.
that you need to develop in the process in order to be able to pivot and to go to that higher level of being.
It
Really
does take
important.
effort to like cut through that noise. And I'm sure you have some amazing tips. So let's say you're distracted, your morning blew up and you're about to step into a podcast interview. Um, h- how can you think about your energy pattern and shift it?
So I have a process of checking your energy where I invite you to, I call it checking your inner battery. And you ask yourself, how are you feeling on a scale of 1 to 10, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually? And if you like, I can even take you through that right now. Would that be helpful?
Love it. Yeah.
All right. So you want to grab a pen and a paper,
All right.
And if you are driving while you're listening to this, it's okay. You can just check in your head. And so you're going to write down physical,
Yeah.
emotional, mental, and spiritual.
Okay.
And then you're going to close your eyes and take a nice inhale in. If you're driving, you don't close your eyes. And exhale. And you ask yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, how do I feel physically right now? First number that comes to you, and 1 is low and 10 is high. So for me, I get a 9. And when I ask my body, why is that? I feel like I'm thirsty. And this often comes up when I'm talking a lot. So, and that's an easy fix. But there's other times where it's like I'm a 2 because I didn't sleep well last night. My kitty is a senior kitty and she often meows through the night or will want to be fed in
Yeah.
the middle of the night or whatever. So whether there's kids or a puppy or whatever might be going on, or you just were ruminating and you didn't get to sleep quickly, these things can impact you. So once you have this awareness, then you get an opportunity to shift and know how to address it. So for me, being thirsty, I can have a sip of water and that will shift it. Next question. I'm going to have a quick sip though. And I don't know if you want to share anything about what you noticed for your check-in for that first number.
Yeah, I felt like a 9. I'm getting a little hungry. That's about it, which I'll have lunch after this.
Yes, yes. And think about that, even that little thing about getting hungry where you're working in your day and you're like, oh, I just want to finish this thing. But then you're getting so hungry that it's distracting you and it impacts your thinking and your emotions and all that. Okay, next question. So going back inside, another breath. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel emotionally right now? First number that comes to you. And I'm a 9 again. And so I feel excited. I love our connection. I love the conversation. I love the questions. So for me, it's just a lot of love overall. But there's other times where it's kind of a mixed bag. I lost a family member recently. My husband and my brother were very miraculously, they were in a car accident and they both walked away with just scratches, despite the fact that the car flipped and they were T-boned. Like it's just crazy. So I still have moments of going back to that and feeling grateful and blessed and like a little escape of a moment, like what would have happened? It's like, no, can't go there.
Yeah.
But our emotions can get the best of us sometimes. So anything interesting come up for you?
I'd say I was a 7 just because the stress from yesterday is pulling over to today.
Oh,
But, we all have our stuff, personally,
yes.
kids, like there's a lot going on in our lives.
Yes.
And sometimes it is hard to be completely present when there is life going on.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and just sometimes you need to like, okay, let that go for now and be present in the moment.
Yes, yes, yes. And such a good perspective to share too. So thank you for that. Okay, next question, going back inside on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel mentally right now? And 1 is low, 10 is high. And this is about, are you distracted and all over the place, or are you clear and focused? So if you're like a 10, you're like super focused in the flow, you're driven, you know exactly what you're doing, nothing's going to take you off course. Number 1, like, no, I this is not time to work. Like this, maybe there's fear, grief, anger, something else going on, whatever, but that's just to give a bit of a understanding. And also it's an invitation to look at, what are the dominant thoughts in my head right now? Am I thinking about what I want to create, or are the thoughts on things that I don't want to create?
Ooh,
Really
it's really
important.
powerful because
Yes.
sometimes you can get tied up in what you don't want to create or you don't
Yes.
want happen. So
Yes.
let me step back a bit. Do you feel like the emotional is like your heart and the mental is like your headspace?
Mostly,
Okay.
yes. So the logical, your heart, your love,
Mm.
they all kind of interconnect. Then the last one is around spiritually, how you're feeling spiritually. And for me, this is about how connected you feel to either the higher power that you believe in, or it could be your intuition,
Mm.
your higher self, or just your purpose, or simply faith that things will work out.
Yeah.
And that is huge in itself. So when you check in spiritually on a scale of 1 to 10, whatever that might mean for you, and if that question doesn't resonate, that's fine. You don't have to go there. You'll get a lot of insights out of the other ones. But how are you feeling today? And I got another 9 there. And this is where it gets interesting because if perhaps you have a daily practice, perhaps you have a place of worship, and you start to recognize maybe you don't go to your place of worship, and then you start to realize that it interferes with your faith, it interferes with what you believe is possible, or maybe you can start to see how important your daily practice is, that it keeps that connection alive. So huge. Now, a bit of insight around the numbers.
Hmm.
When you're 8, 9, or 10, you're in the thriving state. So that's
Oh,
like the flow state. You're tuned in, you're focused on what you want to create, you're feeling good. The energy that you're putting out there is really good. That's a great energy level to be in when you're doing a podcast interview. If you are a 4, 5, 6, or 7, that's when you start to get into this place of suffering. Our true default is intended to be in that higher state, but we have already had the conversation where it's impossible to be in that state all the time. But I believe for how we were created as human beings, that's where we were meant to be. And then all the programming of life gets in the way, and we're like, oh no, you can only be this happy. But that's a whole other conversation. If you're 1, 2, or 3, you are stuck in survival. Now, there are going to be times where that might be just where you are. Maybe you're really sick. Maybe you're grieving. Maybe you have a ton of stress on you. And you might just use that as the indicator of, okay, maybe I should be rescheduling my podcast interview because I am not in a good space. You're not going to be able to think on your feet. You're not going to be able to show up as your best self. So you're better off rescheduling it. And if you're like ready to cough off a lung or something, definitely not good. So if your energy levels are low, then you either recognize that I need to rejig my schedule or give myself the space and grace to move through. Or if it's just hovering a little low and you need a little boost up, then there are things that you can reach for to boost your energy. So I can take us through a very simple
yeah,
exercise. It'll just take 2 minutes, and it's a great thing that you can do, like even just the last few minutes before you hop on a podcast interview.
I would love that. But I do want to say that I have had days where I'm in like the 3 or 4 and I
Mhm.
have rescheduled because I know it's just going to make me feel worse and I'm not giving my best to the audience, to the guest. And you have to give yourself grace and you have to realize that the other person, you would hope that they have enough empathy and kindness in themselves to be like, hey, we've been there, done that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we have to give each other kindness for
Yeah.
those moments.
Yes. Yes. Even if it's a big interview where you've been waiting months for it, you still want to show up as your best self.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, if it's just a little dip low, then I would just recommend giving yourself a little extra time to boost your energy up. So, one thing that I had shared on social media before our conversation today was I had my hand on the ground. I wasn't in the mood to take my socks off and my slippers off this morning because I usually will go barefoot on the ground. But I did some grounding and just took a few minutes in the sunshine because that always, always, always brings me back to center and boosts me up. So I have some different practices of things that I reach for that I know work for me and that I've used over and over again with my clients to help them with boosting their energy before they do anything significant, especially in their business. So
Yeah,
if
let's
you're
go for
ready,
it.
so
100%.
I'm going to take you through a really simple breathing exercise. It's called box breathing. And so if you can imagine that as we go through this, you're going to inhale for the count of 4, hold for the count of 4, exhale for 4, and then hold for 4. And that's why it's called a box, because there's the 4 steps to the process and it's just the breath. So we're going to do this twice. We're going to do it once and go through, and then we're going to have a regular breath. And then we're going to do another one and then have a regular breath. And then we'll check our inner battery again. Okay. So I'll count us through. So I won't be holding one as well, but if you can just
Yeah.
follow along. So inhale for four. One, two, three, four. Hold. One, two, three, four. Exhale. One, two, three, four. Hold. One, two, three, four. Regular breath. Okay, we'll do it one more time. All right, we're going to inhale. One, two, three, four. Hold. One, two, three, four. Exhale. One, two, three, four. And hold. One, two, three, four. And regular breath. And then I'm going to invite you to check your inner battery and see how you're feeling and see if anything shifted. So I'm just going to do this while you check in and give everyone a pause to check in.
Feel calmer. And I like the holding of it because you think, okay, breathe in, breathe out, and do the task. You know what I mean? But that step of holding it, I don't know, your body just feels different.
I feel the shoulders come down.
Mm.
Um,
Yes.
it activates the parasympathetic nervous system, so it does have a calming effect on you. Might notice a quieting of a chatter in the mind, and
Mm.
it's that pause because you are counting, so it's a pattern interrupt for the thoughts.
Ooh.
You're counting, and then it's like, okay, if there is something that was spinning in your head, then maybe you notice that you're able to just take a fresh look at it, or maybe it's the perfect pattern interrupt to do something else to feel better. Now, that's a really great way to calm down if you've had a busy and stressful morning.
Yeah.
But perhaps you want to get energized and you want to
Mm.
get pumped up. Well,
Right.
then maybe you might put on your favorite song and do a little dance. Maybe you might want to go for like a little bit of a run on the spot or some jumping jacks to get your body going and boost things up. But the thing is that what you want to do, so let's check in again. So, how are you feeling physically on a scale of 1 to 10? How are you feeling emotionally on a scale of 1 to 10? And how are you feeling mentally on a scale of 1 to 10? And how are you feeling spiritually on a scale of 1 to 10? And then you notice, how did that impact me? Did that impact how you're feeling physically? Did it bring your number up just one? Or did some things will bring your numbers up a lot? For me, being outside grounded, that brings my numbers up always like at least 2 or 3 points. And especially the sunshine, it brings me up so much. So you start to learn that there are different things that you can do to boost your energy in different situations. So this will help you show up as the best version of yourself before you do your podcast interview. And also before you do anything, any
Right.
actions in your business, any kind of marketing, any kind of client attraction strategies, team calls, whatever it is that you need to do.
Yeah, I found that even my E like came up because it did clear that chatter in your head. It just made your insides feel a little calmer. Yeah, what a
Mhm.
great exercise.
It's
Now,
so,
and boosting energy, I never think to do that. It's like I'm so task focused that
yes.
I'm like, and I love music. It totally jazzes me and like, makes me happy. And I'm always singing and dancing in my house, except for in my office. Maybe I should do that more.
You could. And so here's the really fun thing. As your energy is higher, you're in that 8, 9, or 10, that's the flow state, right? The inspiration comes, the solution comes, the creativity comes, and you're focused. So you're able to be way more productive. Whereas if you try to get things done in your day where you just don't feel like it, but it's like, I've got to get this done, and you're pushing through, it actually takes you longer because you're pushing through your own inner resistance. And oftentimes, if you look at whatever it is that you create, you have to go back and fix things. Or if you
Yep.
reread it and it's just like, okay, that's the gist of it, but I need to really improve this because that's not the tone that I want to express
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah. That's so true. Oh, this is such a good conversation. Now, as an energy optimizer, Like, who do you work with? How do you work with them? This is so interesting to me.
I work with a lot of service-based entrepreneurs that operate at a high level. They have a big vision that they want to bring to life, or they're pivoting in their business, and they're up against their own capacity. And whether that is like time or mental or emotional for reaching that big goal, like they've hit the wall and they know that they need to do something drastically different. That passion isn't going away. And so we focus a lot on the energy management, clarity of what that vision is that they're creating, ensuring it's still aligned with what they truly want, and how do they show up so that they can still bring it to life. I have a wide range of clients, real estate agents, financial planners, transportation company, like it's a wide range, spiritual practitioners. It's a really wide range of practitioner of people.
It's we're such spiritual beings, emotional beings. We have energy. There's energy everywhere, all around us. And
Mhm.
I think sometimes as business owners, we're so focused on the tactics
Yes.
and the strategies that we don't look at the bigger picture or take a step back and look at ourselves from the inside out.
One of my
I'm
mentors had
finally,
shared,
yeah, well,
sorry,
sorry, what?
one of my mentors had shared that it's 5% strategy and then 95% is the energy and mindset as you're taking the action.
Dang.
Yes. So
Hmm.
we think that we don't have time to take care
Yeah.
of ourselves, and yet that's actually what's going to expand your capacity and allow you to be much more effective as a leader and more efficient with your action taking.
Dang. That makes you
Because
stop and think, doesn't it?
it does, right? Because when we're feeling like a five and we procrastinate, I don't really want to do that right now. But there are things that you still need to accomplish. So
Yeah.
you are far better off going for a walk or listening to your favorite song and doing a couple of like dance moves or yoga or whatever it is
Yeah.
that might resonate with you. And then you can take on the task that you've been procrastinating on. You'll find that you don't have so much resistance. You have that new inspiration because you're approaching it from a different type of energy. It makes a massive difference.
I imagine so. I'm slowly learning these things, this year and like looking more in versus out. You'd think at 54 you'd know it all already, but still so much to learn. And so I'm so grateful for learning from you. And yeah, I will have to have you in my inner head every day now.
Oh, you know what? Do the inner battery check and I'll be in your head every day, multiple times a day.
I love that. Yes, I will definitely do that. And I know you have a gift for the audience to help them have you in their back pocket on a day-to-day basis. And of course, I want people to know how they can work with you and how you can help them.
Yeah, thank you for that. So I do support service-based entrepreneurs and I support them with that pivot or getting clarity in their business and then getting out of their own way, shipping out of the overwhelm and overthinking and learning how to optimize their energy, their leadership, their mindset so they can bring their beautiful vision to life. And I work with people one-on-one and through group programs. And a resource that I am so happy to share with everyone who's listening, if this teaching has resonated with you and you want to start to make it a habit, I have a free 7-day energy transformation to attract more clients. And I'll be in your inbox for 7 days and I'll be there reminding you to check your inner battery and going a little bit deeper into each of the check-ins and different ideas of things that you can do, little insights that you can watch for to notice, to see what's going on, and help you with creating that habit in your world. And you can reach that at jlyall.com/energy.
I'll have that link in the show notes and I will be signing up as soon as we're done here so that I can get more tips from you, as I definitely need to optimize my energy for higher impact. Thank you so much for your tips and going through these exercises. You have shifted my day, and I'm sure that you have shifted other people's days that are listening as well and moving forward. Thank you.
My honor. Have a great day, a high energy day.
Yes, absolutely. Having a high energy day. I love that. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week on the Leverage Your Podcast show.